Good evening and welcome to the City of Woodstock's virtual planning meeting, public planning meeting. Tonight's meeting is an open public meeting as required by the Planning Act. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel, and a recording of the meeting will also be posted on the city's website following the meeting. An agenda can be found on the Agendas, Meetings, and Minutes page of the city's website under the Inside City Hall heading on the cityofwoodstock.ca homepage. Present here tonight are members of City Council, the Deputy City Clerk Alicia Dijak, City Engineer and Building Official Craig Wallace, and of course Oxford County Senior Planner Andrea Hackler with her reports. This public planning meeting is for information and discussion purposes only, and no decisions will be made at this evening's meeting. Council will make a decision on these matters at the regular council meeting to be held on Thursday, March the 18th at 1:30 p.m. If you wish to address council at that meeting as well, you must submit a delegation form to the city clerk no later than 2 p.m. on Wednesday. A delegation form is available on the city website or contact the city clerk. Due to the nature of a virtual meeting, the public has been asked to submit a request to speak in advance to allow for pre-meeting tests with the IT department. We do have two delegations or two participants here tonight for sure. Those wishing to make a presentation will join the meeting via video through Zoom, while those wishing to provide comments or answer questions only can call the meeting or appear through Zoom, but can call the meeting also via telephone if they prefer. When recognized by the chair to speak, you must provide your name and address for the public record before giving your comments. Only the applicant or people who provide oral or written comments regarding the application are entitled to appeal the council decision to the local planning appeal tribunal. Please keep your comments to planning matters only and avoid repeating comments that have already been expressed by others. If you have not provided oral or written comments but wish to receive formal notice of council's decision on the matter, please contact the clerk's department for the city of Woodstock. The notice will provide further information on appealing the decision. The county's planner will be asked to present the planning report for each application. The city council members may then ask questions of the planner. The applicant or representatives of the applicant will then be provided an opportunity to make their comments as well, and council will have an opportunity to ask them questions as well. But as I said before, no decisions made tonight. City council is on Thursday at 1:30. Also, of course, a live meeting and through Zoom and through YouTube and the City of Woodstock's website page. So as we start here tonight for March the 15th, we do have two applicants on our agenda here tonight. The first one is ZN 8-20-28. It's an application for zone change, Delege Properties Limited, and the address is 201 Bison Park Drive in the City of Woodstock. As we welcome our planner in to give her report at this point in time, Andrea Hackler from the County of Oxford.
Thank you. So the first application tonight is for a zone change, and the applicant is proposing to rezone the lands from a special general industrial zone M3-2 to an amended special general industrial zone M3-37. Or I shouldn't say amended, I should say that they're amending the M3 zone, but they're asking for a site specific zone. The M3-2 zone is currently applies to a number of different properties in the Bison Park industrial park. And so the applicant in this case is looking to establish zoning to permit a truck terminal on the subject property. I'm just going to scroll down here and give you, this is the approved site plan for the subject lands. The applicant has, since the application was, or the site plan was approved in March 2020, the applicant has built a 2-unit industrial building, and the 1 unit is currently occupied by a retail building supply establishment, and the other unit is intended for warehousing. The owner that is proposing to purchase this property will use the warehousing portion of the building, and then is also asking to park 10 transport trucks to the rear of the existing building. It would be for short-term parking, and it would be for trucks between deliveries, and they would be like short and long haul trucks. And so the property is located, as I indicated, it's located in the Bison Park Industrial Park, and it generally supports light industrial type uses. As council will recall, we recently did, or the applicant applied for a zone change on the subject property, and they're proposing a different facility that was intended to be in keeping with this light industrial type use. Typically, truck terminals are not light industrial, or not considered light industrial uses, but in this case, the applicant is only proposing to park 10 trucks. And so, in our opinion, this would be considered a small scale type use, and it would be more in keeping with light industrial than the traditional industrial type uses that could be really large truck terminals with 50 to 100 trucks kind of thing. Just to give you an idea too of what's currently permitted on the subject property, there's uses such as the ambulance, fire, and police depot, assembly plants, contractors' yards, fabricating plants, food processing plants, manufacturing plants, and retail building supply establishments, as well as warehousing and wholesale outlet. So in review of this application, we felt that the parking of 10 trucks to the rear of a building could typically be found in this area already, and it would just be associated with other permitted uses. And so, for example, when we look at the aerials, you can see that the property to the south has parking for lots of transport trucks, and as well as this parcel too. So we found that, or we feel that the parking of 10 trucks would be in keeping with the area. That being said, we are recommending through the zone change that a truck terminal not be introduced as a permitted use, and that it more be, council will probably see the bylaw, the amending bylaw, but it's just specifically that they're allowed to park a maximum of 10 trucks to the rear of the subject building. And that would, in our minds, keep the use as a light industrial type use, as well as it would limit the scale. And we don't have concerns that the property, or that they could expand the truck parking in the future, just because the size of the property is fairly limited. So in light of that, we felt that the proposal would be in keeping with the policies with the Bison Park Industrial Park policies, as well as it maintains the general intent of the provisions of the bylaw. And then I also want to point out that the existing retail building supply establishment is a permitted use already in the M3-2 zone, as well as the proposed warehousing. And I should point out too that with respect to permitting a truck terminal in general in this area, another thing that we looked at is a number of the existing zones in the area already actually permit truck terminals. In this case, again, we're limiting it, so it's just truck parking for 10 trucks, but it is permitted in other properties in this area. So without any further explanation, we feel that this application is supportable, and if council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, thanks for your report, Andrea. Are there any questions or comments from councillors online here tonight for our planner? Maybe I have a question for you, Andrea. As chair, I know just over in Hauser's Lane, not so far away from there, not so long ago, we approved, and I think it was a building that was going to repair trucks, the trailer part of trucks, not the entire, well, the trailer, not the trailer, the truck cab itself. That was on the dead end of Hauser's Lane. There was going to be an applicant to sort of do truck repair indoors there. If you recall seeing, Andrea?
So through to your question, yes, so we have supported garages for servicing of transport trucks. The policies do allow for those types of uses in the business parks because they generally support other uses in the area. And so the idea would be that, yeah, the other industrial users could bring their trucks to be serviced at these repair garages. And so typically, yeah, there would be parking associated with those uses as well,
Sure.
and repair.
Any other comments or questions for our planner? Not seeing any, so at this point in time, we can invite our applicant to come in. If we take our IT guy, Chris, to allow our delegate to come in. That's Julie and Carlo Delage, delegation here this evening. Any comments they would like to make about the application process and what their plans are for this location? And then technically, I guess, give us their name and their address of their formal address of their business, and maybe even let us know what they're currently doing on that property as well, because I know they're running another business there as well. Carlo and Julie Delage.
Okay, click the video. Oh, he has to do it maybe.
Hello,
Okay,
Council
you got the
members.
floor. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for listening to the application. We have, oh, sorry, it's for 201 Bison Park. We have sold the building, and the people that have purchased it have inquired about parking 10 of their vehicles there, because they do come back and they want to have a halfway stopping point for their drivers. And most of the drivers live in town here. And then in the morning, they just pick up and they drive on into Toronto. So basically, there will be no unloading of vehicles or loading of vehicles. They're just basically loaded in Toronto. They stop in Woodstock, and then in the morning, they make their run and they come back and park at night back to Toronto. Pretty much that's what we have there. And the other tenant is a retail outlet that sells tools, and it's not going to affect him. There's still plenty of room back there for him for his deliveries to come in, and for him to park his vehicles back there as well.
Point of clarification, I think you broke out when you were describing what the other business on that property currently does there. Sorry.
I'm sorry. The other business is a retail outlet. They sell tools, and they have deliveries that come in with trucks as well, transport trucks. So we're not going to affect them at all. And also the parking for their employees. There's plenty of parking on the at the back as well for their employees. I think they have 3 employees there.
Any question for our delegation or comments from members of the council? Go ahead, Councillor Talbot.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just through to Mr. Delage. I'm just curious now that when these trucks are coming off the highway, they're coming off Dundas Street. Is that would be their regular route? Do you know?
For that, I'm not sure, but I assume they will be. Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Lauder, go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Delage. So you were saying that the other business there has delivery trucks, but that won't interfere within your 10 that's going to be allowed for this area. Will they be parking near there, or they won't be in your area, would they, or the area that that's being described here?
Council member, most of the deliveries that they get is from UPS and FedEx, so they're not really bigger trucks. So they won't bother the other tenant at all.
And it's this basically the trucks that they'll be staying overnight, not so much in the daytime. They probably wouldn't be there in the daytime, or?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Guess my only question of clarification, and maybe you don't know the exact answer to this question, Mr. Delage, but the trucks will be the 53-foot regular kind of tractor trailers that we're used to seeing on the 401 up and down the highways.
I'm assuming yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. Any other comments or questions for our delegation? At this point in time, I'd like to see if there's anyone who's been registered to speak in favor of this application. That might have either questions or comments for our planner, for council, or for the applicant. If there's anybody that's registered to speak in favor of the application? I don't believe anybody had registered. Anyone registered to speak against the application? Remember, you can take part not just through Zoom with your picture on the screen, but through a cell phone as well if you want to participate in future meetings as well. But there's nobody that's going to speak against the application. I don't believe either Mr. Delage. So we got a opportunity to take a look at this at council on Thursday afternoon at 1:30 is when the next city council meeting is, and you'll be on that agenda with this zoning change. So that's all for this item number 1 on our agenda here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for participating.
Thank you.
Item number 2 on the agenda is ZN 8-20-20 -0P 20-20-8 application for an official plan amendment and zone change. The applicants are Devinder Grewal, Harvinder Singh, Kuldeep Singh, and the address is 1055 Parkinson Road. They've got a planning consultant representing them tonight, but first of all, we have a report from our planner, Andrea Hackler. If she can take the floor one more time and share her screen and tell us what 1055 Parkinson Road's all about.
Thank you. So this application is for an official plan amendment and a zone change. And the applicant is also proposing a truck terminal on the subject property. The proposal is to redesignate the subject lands from a business park designation. It's actually a special business park designation with site-specific policies, and those site-specific policies are generally related to the proximity of the properties in the area to the Brick Pond wetlands. And so the proposal is to go from business park to traditional industrial, and then also to rezone the subject lands from M2. So council can see that the southern portion is zoned M2, which is a restricted industrial zone. And so they're looking to go from an M2 to an M2 special, which would permit the truck terminal. And then the lands on the northern side of the property, the larger portion of the lands, are zoned M3. However, I'll just scroll down and you'll see the lands are actually part of an area that is designated environmental protection due to the proximity to the brick wetlands. There's also a wetland on this site, and there was a significant amount of vegetation as well on the site. And so the applicant is also proposing to rezone that northern portion of the property where the environmental protection lands are from M3, which is a general industrial zone, to an environmental protection zone. And then that would give permanency to the environmental protection area and basically implement the policies of the environmental protection designation. So then for council's information, the applicant is proposing on the subject property to establish the truck terminal. It would have parking for up to 16 transport trucks, as well as the 5-bay service garage and a 350 square meter accessory office space, in addition to the 5-bay service garage. And the total developable area that the truck terminal will fall on is 2.2 acres. Whereas the larger portion, which is where the wetland and the associated vegetation are located, is approximately 8.1 acres. And so the total area of the property is 10.3 acres. So it's just a smaller portion of the property that will actually be developed for the subject use. And then further to that, for council's information, you may be aware of this or not, but back in October 2019, there were 100 trees removed. It was an unauthorized tree removal. Since then, the applicant has, as under the Under the advisement of their environmental consultant, they have since replaced the trees at a ratio of 5:1, and they've been working closely with the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority as well as with city parks. And generally, as council knows, we usually do a replacement ratio of 3:1. In this case, based on the recommendation of the environmental consultant, they replaced the trees at a ratio of 5:1. And it was just based on the fact that they planted smaller trees than what is required under the 3:1 ratio. But City Parks was satisfied with the planting, and the planting has already taken place. So the remaining portion of the lands is currently vacant. And as council is likely aware too, in the area is the Brick Pond wetlands, as well as there's long-standing residential lands along Parkinson. Those lands are actually designated for industrial uses long-term. The idea is that those uses would transition out. However, they are welcome to stay as long as they like, and they're just considered legal non-conforming. And then there's also a number of industrial uses in the area as well. We'll just go back to the zoning map so you can see that. So the lands, as I indicated, are designated business park and environmental protection, and the special policies are mostly related to the protection of the Brick Pond wetlands and to ensure that development in the area does not have a negative impact on the wetlands. And then to satisfy both the official plan and the provincial policy statement requirements, the applicant did submit an environmental impact study. Through that study, it was determined that this area would be protected, which is in keeping with the policies or the environmental protection designation, so that won't be changing at all. And then that also includes a buffer to continue to protect those lands. The application was circulated to a number of agencies. Staff are supportive of the proposal. It was noted through a number of the different agencies that the application or the proposed development would be subject to site plan approval. Also, it would be subject to Upper Thames approval, and we will continue to keep them apprised of all the information that will go forward with the development. If they go through site plan and whatnot, Upper Thames will be involved with that, as well as the Parks Department. Both the city and the county indicated that a 3-meter road widening will be taken along Parkinson Road. It was indicated too that a traffic impact study was not required as based on the scale of the proposal, as well as Parkinson Road is a county road, and so it is designed for heavier traffic, including truck traffic. And the Upper Thames indicated that they have no objection to the proposal, that they reviewed the environmental impact study, as well as there was a tree compensation planting report, and they were satisfied with both. They and Parks both indicated that they will be going out in the spring for a site visit to ensure that the trees have in fact been planted, that there will be a maintenance program, and that everyone's satisfied with that. There was no objection. We circulated the application to a number of surrounding property owners, and there was no objection there. Staff are generally supportive of the application. We feel that it's in keeping with the provincial policy statement. It's promoting economic development, as well as it's an efficient use of the land and available municipal services and existing infrastructure. The provincial policy statement requires that with respect to natural features that they are preserved. And in this case, staff are satisfied that the proposal is in keeping with the provincial policy statement. We're satisfied with the tree compensation. And I mean, another thing that was pointed out by the environmental consultant that was important to Upper Thames, the county and the city was that the applicant would not be rewarded for the removal of any of the trees and gain more developable space. So in this case, they have planted right to where they're supposed to, and they did not gain any more developable area on the property. And so that's a value to point out to council. So with respect to the official plan amendment, staff are recommending actually that the lands do not be redesignated to the traditional industrial designation, because those are generally uses that are associated with heavier industrial type uses. And then we would also lose those policies, those area specific policies relating to the brick wetlands. And so in this case, we were recommending that the lands be redesignated to a special business park designation. So the council will have been able to see the amending official plan amendment that I drafted. And so basically it states that the small scale truck terminal is permitted with a maximum of up to 16 trucks. But that the policies of the brick wetlands area would still apply to this designation. And then with respect to the zoning, we are recommending approval of the site-specific zoning. We did also propose a cap in the zoning, which would cap the truck terminal at up to 16 trucks. And then we are satisfied with the rezoning of the northern portion of the subject lands, and that's to the EP Environmental Protection 1. That's probably something that should have been done a long time ago to protect that area and to implement the policies of the environmental protection designation. And so we are glad to see that coming forward too. So in light of our review, we'd recommend that the official plan amendment and the zone change be given favorable consideration.
Thanks, Andrea. Go ahead, Councillor Talbot, with any comments you've got?
Thank you, Chair, through to Andrea. Going forward with the tree maintenance plan, who monitors that? Would Parks be monitoring that going forward, or and is that written into any of like the zone change that that they have to maintain that?
Through the chair to Councillor Talbot's question, and Craig, you can jump in if you have more experience with this, but generally my understanding would be that tree maintenance program would be implemented through the site plan agreement.
Okay.
So it would be the report and the maintenance.
So there would be some type of paperwork that we could fall back on if they failed to do it.
Yes, so it would be found in the site plan agreement that the applicant would agree to. Sorry, maybe Craig has more comments.
Mr. Chairman, no, I will agree with what Andrea is saying. It's done through the site plan agreement.
Okay, fine. And just another question, just curiosity, with this type of building, there's going to be 5 bays where trucks are going to be worked on, and trucks parked at the back of the property. Are we not concerned environmentally about any spills or anything coming from the trucks that are parked so close to the buffer area?
Sorry, Craig, I think you wanted to.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I'll jump in. So again, through site plan control, they will have to do stormwater management. So that'll be reviewed by the city, by the county, and Upper Thames. So that's the process that they would get to the cleaning of the water runoff on the site.
So that would include like the asphalt where the trucks are parked, and then also in the bay, the mechanical bays?
Yes, so the outside runoff from the parking lot is taken care of through the stormwater management.
Right.
Inside the building is done through the sanitary plumbing, so they would require oil and grit interceptors.
Okay, thank you.
I think I'd like to add to that as well. So with respect to the environmental impact study, the recommendations of the study were installation of permanent fencing along the back of the developed area, so to protect the environmental area, as well as they have a spill response plan, and they also did sediment and erosion, or the recommendation is that they would do sediment and erosion control as well. And so then those things would all be done through site plan, but those were definitely recommendations of the environmental impact study.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, Manager of Building and Facilities for the City of Woodstock at the Engineering Office is Craig Wallace, whose name appeared on our screen there. I think his name tag might have clipped his actual name there. If anyone's curious who that gentleman is, it's Craig Wallace. Any other questions or comments for our planner or for Mr. Wallace from members of council? Just one clarification. There was a residential house that was removed from that property some time ago. Was there not, Andrea? I don't think this has ever been any kind of a commercial use before, like we've seen further west down Parkinson, like a fruit market stand or a vegetable stand. We've seen further west down before actually we get to Springbank Ave. I think that was just a residential property, was it not?
Through to your question, Councillor Schadenberg, yes, there was a house there, and it was removed around the same time that that the trees were removed. So I believe it was around 2019.
Okay, thanks a lot. Seeing that there's no more comments or questions for our planner, at this point in time, we do welcome in our delegation representing this item on our agenda of 1055 Parkinson Road, and it's a planning consultant by the name of Astrid Close. If Astrid could give her, I guess, her full name and address and the company she represents and where her company is based, and then give her report or what she would like to say.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, my name's Astrid Claus. I'm a planning consultant here on behalf of the applicant for the property at 1055 Parkinson Road. I do have a brief presentation if it's appropriate for me to go through that now, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, certainly. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So this is showing an excerpt from the official plan, and we've had some discussion about that already. The property itself is outlined in red, and you'll see the front portion of the property is already within this business park designation. The back portion of the property is within the environmental protection designation, and surrounding is quite a bit of the traditional industrial designation with a bit of the business park across the road. And then of course there is some residential as well in the area. The brick wetland, pond wetlands are located at the back portion of the property, and an environmental impact study has been prepared by Natural Resource Solutions in support of these applications, which was submitted, reviewed, and accepted. And the proposed zoning will ensure that the land's designated environmental protection will remain protected from development. So this is the current City of Woodstock zoning for the property. And again, the property is outlined in red. The front of the property is zoned M2, and the back of the property is within the general industrial M3 zone, which actually permits a truck terminal. And prior to purchasing the property, the owners did review the zoning and saw that there was an M3 zone at the back that allowed a truck terminal. And then they proceeded to mistakenly clear the trees at the back of the property where they believed they were allowed to locate the truck terminal. When they were asked to stop, they did, and then the owners became more acquainted with the official plan and other land use requirements. They then retained Natural Resource Solutions, and I was also retained at that time to assist them moving forward in the process. And we have been working together with the county, the city, and the Conservation Authority to that end. Compensation trees were planted under the guidance of Natural Resource Solutions to meet the municipal and conservation authority requirements. And of course, this official plan amendment and zone change application were submitted to implement what the applicants would like to construct on the property. So this is now the proposed zoning, and so you'll see this is the limit of the 30-meter buffer. So there's buffer and wetland within the EP1 zone, and then a specialized M2 zone in the front of the property. So this is, I think, an enhancement, as has been mentioned, from the M3 zone at the back to now an environmental protection zone to make sure that that property remains protected. So the front of the property is 0.9 hectares or 2.2 acres of the property. So this is the part where the small scale truck terminal is proposed as a permitted use. This is the concept plan once again. So today, this is the limit between the M2 and the M3 zone here. The environmental impact study identified the wetland boundary, that's that line. And then from this line is the 30-meter buffer. So this 30-meter buffer is identifying the new limit between the M2 zone, between here and Parkinson Road, and then the EP1 zone is from this buffer and encompasses the remainder of the property. The 3-meter road widening has been incorporated into the concept plan, and the 9-meter maximum access has also been incorporated into the concept plan. This plan is in compliance with all of the zoning regulations. Site plan approval is required, so a more formal site plan would need to be required with all of the supporting grading and stormwater management and lighting, landscape plans, etc., that would normally be submitted to support a site plan application. And the site plan application will deal with the site grading and any storm runoff, and the site plan approval will also ensure that dust control is addressed as per the comments received from the neighboring property at 1047 Parkinson Road. I note that the owners are supportive of the recommendations found on pages 7 and 8 of the staff report. And that concludes my presentation. I would be pleased to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. And any other questions or comments for from council members for our planner? Seeing none, any comments from council whatsoever? Okay. Actually, I don't have any questions either at this point in time. And as the planner did mention, there are comments on our agenda from a neighbor at 1047 Parkinson Road that made the comments, and the planner, of course, had commented on that herself, that she's, of course, recognized that there was comments made. And it's because of that, at this point in time, I'll ask if there's anybody registered to make comments in favor of this application. We do ask people to pre-register to be able to check a connectivity with our IT department. So I don't believe there's anybody that's registered to speak in favor of the application, or anybody to speak against the application here tonight. Nobody to speak against the application here tonight either. And as I've mentioned previously, there will be no decisions made here tonight, but if you'd like to be a delegation at the City Council on Thursday, when it will be part of the agenda and a decision will be made by council, Thursday's 1:30 p.m. start time for our meeting through Zoom and the City of Woodstock website and through the YouTube channel. You have till Wednesday at 2 p.m. to contact the city clerk's office to be able to get on the agenda as a delegation at that point in time. And anyone who's been a delegation here tonight, whether they be a planner or part owner of a company, by all means, you can appear at Thursday's City Council meeting also. Can I have a motion to call tonight's meeting? Councillor Lauder, seconded by Councillor Talbot. All those in favor? And this officially closes tonight's meeting. We'll see you all at 1:30 on Thursday afternoon for the regular council meeting for the 18th of March in 2021. Thanks for participating tonight. Good night.